Well, joining me now is a good friend, Dr. Michael Youssef, the founder and pastor of the Church of the Apostles in Atlanta, also the author of a great book, God's Final Call, How the Book of Revelation Pulls Back the Veil on Current Events and Our Ultimate Future. Dr. Youssef, so honored to have you with us. I know that there were folks laughing in that crowd, but that really is a serious issue, that open borders immigration across all of Western Europe.
Absolutely, Todd. So good to be with you, my friend. Thank you for having me. I've written a book 8 years ago, The Third Jihad, and I showed, documented their own words. I didn't put anything in their mouths. I put their words on my book, and I showed the first jihad in the 700s, the second jihad, the 1400s. This is the third jihad. And they believed with all their being that they will accomplish the third jihad that's taking over Europe, destroying Western civilization, and building the caliphate by birth rates and some petrodollar investments. And they are succeeding beyond their wildest imagination, so much so that in the book I quoted one of their leaders to say that by 2050, Britain will be Islamist and will have a Sharia law. Now they're coming in saying, no, it's going to be 2030. Now with the influx of illegal immigrants, so-called refugees, but they really are trained, groomed terrorists to come into France and England, but they're mostly targeting England now.
I was curious to get your thoughts about Prince William. He and his wife visited some Muslim leaders, and I thought it was quite interesting that the future Queen of England was forced to wear a head covering, and they refused to actually shake their hands. What does that tell you about what's about to happen in the UK?
They are spelling it out. You don't have to. I mean, look at what the king did. The king brought Islam and in the heart of an Easter message, that his mother would literally turn in her grave for that. But that is all the direction now that England particularly and the rest of Europe is going through. 40% of kids in schools in Vienna are Muslims. I mean, you go on and on and on. But England is a microcosm. Because of English being a language that they speak and they understand, they are focusing on England. But they started over 15 years ago of working what they call the spine. That is north to south, spots where the Sharia courts are established, Islamic centers. And then they said this no-go zone, so a policeman cannot go there. Then they said they're going to build the ribs around that spine, and then that's how they're going to choke the country. And would you believe it? 9 mayors of major cities in England are all Muslims, including London, as you know.
And it's not just happening in the UK. We're starting to see this happening here in the United States. And there was a report out a few days ago in New York City where Muslim patrols are going after people caught drinking or misbehaving on the streets. You've seen the rise of the Islamists in places like Texas and others. Is that a threat? Are we looking at a threat to Western civilization here?
Absolutely, and they said it openly and clearly for years, saying this is what we're going to do. This is our aim. And so now they're just doing it. Everybody's surprised. Well, they've been telling us this for years, that this is what they're going to do. This is what Allah called them to do, and that is to take over all the lands of the infidel and turn them into... There's 135 Sharia courts in England. And there are several here, including New Jersey. And there's a whole town in New Jersey now, they're calling it Little Palestine, all bringing in the Sharia in that little town. They want to establish that 500-acre spot in Texas and in Detroit. And they're working it out in the open. And I think it's not just Christians really that ought to be concerned about it. Anyone who cares for peace, who cares for the future of their children and grandchildren ought to be concerned about this. Not just the Christian community, everybody. I said recently to Ambassador Mike Huckabee is that Israel is the canary in the coal mine. And the destruction of Israel is just really the kind of, it's a stop on the way to destroying Western civilization. I remember I lived in the Middle East during the Six-Day War, and before the abysmal defeat, of course, that I believe God brought about, the cry in the streets was, we're going to finish Saturday first, then we're going to come back on Sunday. And this was in 67. And so, mercifully, they were not succeeding either on Saturday or Sunday, but they want to, and they're trying and doing everything possible to see that Western civilization. Now, there are 3,000 mosques in England alone. I don't know how many churches, but I don't think they got that many churches. And the results are very, very disturbing.
Dr. Youssef, we're gonna bring you back on because this is a very important topic, and we've got a lot of ground to cover, but we've got to leave it there. Dr. Youssef, thank you for coming on Newsmax this evening. Thank you.
Pleasure, my brother. Thank you, Todd.